Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by TheLines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast, and we're looking at player props to close the work week with you guys. Nice little 9-game slate here in the NBA. We've also got best bets up in a separate episode, so make sure to check that out alongside these player props that we're bringing you each and every weekday moving forward throughout this regular season. Nate, let's get right into your first pick here, not wasting any time, and talk about Coby White. Who he's good to go, right? There's no more Q tags on him. He's all set to play.
Yeah, probable, I believe, but Josh Giddey is questionable with the hip, and so that would be a big boon here. This number might move, but right now 22.5 points and assists for White is good either way. I mean, he is already tied with Giddey in potential assists in his last 10 overall, getting 5.6 dimes along with 21 points in his last 10. The last time Giddey missed a game, right, he had 23 and 9. That was against Atlanta. The only other 3 opportunities he's had this year without Giddey against Milwaukee and Boston twice, so not easy at all. He's loved playing Charlotte, though. I mean, damn, he's averaging 24, 7.3, 5.8. His last 6 against Charlotte, just went for 23, 10, and 9 against them on a couple weeks ago. Brandon Miller might be out here, which would really hurt the Hornets defense, which, you know, they with LaMelo in there is not very good at the point of attack. But really, I mean, it's more about White more than it is the matchup. Like, he's just starting to be the most improved player candidate from last year, just like an electric driver of the basketballs, averaging a team-high 15 drives, 60% field goal on those. That's led to the higher value kickouts, the wide more potential assists than Giddey, because people are really actually collapsing on him. He has more assist points created. And Charlotte happens to have the worst corner 3 defense in the last 10, so that's going to lead to some opportunities. He had 17 potential assists in his last meeting against those Hornets, created 26 points. He averages 14 potential assists in the 2 against Charlotte, only 5 actual assists. So, yeah, you love to see room for growth, like we always say. And I think the points, I mean, around 20 points is pretty reliable here for Coby against a team that, again, just doesn't do well at the point of attack.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I think that all makes sense in this one. I mean, Coby is someone who I have been attacking in these games where you can probably get a little bit more catch and shoot as well. And I think that'll continue to be available against the Charlotte defense. Yeah, it does seem like you're going to see him off ball a good amount. That's sort of what we've been seeing as well. And then when he does get it, he's facing an imbalanced defense, which is why I like the assists as well, because this thing does keep moving. He plays off of like it's been a lot of either Giddey or Levine bringing the ball up. Then you see them sort of play it to Vooch at the top of the key, and then Coby runs off of that sort of dribble handoff off the Vooch play, and now he's got that imbalanced defense, either cutting the corner and going to the rim or pulling up for that shot. And so there's a lot of options for him off of that, and Levine is just going to be let's come down and play some ISO ball. If I get a pick and roll, great. If not, I don't need one. I'll just go ahead and find my shot. And that's the 2 plays that this team runs is go ahead, Zach LaVine, or let's play through Vooch at the top of the key and have guys like Coby White running off of him to catch that dribble handoff. So that's what I think we'll continue to see against Mark Williams, the greatest basketball player known to man. I don't know if you know this, but Mark Williams finally lost the ding dong. Nick Richards is gone. Let's put it that way. I mean, Nick Richards was a fine play in random moments where they were playing the Wizards and other awful teams down low. Mark Williams is mother-loving Hakeem Olajuwon combined with Wes Unseld and a little bit of post-game, like I'm thinking like LaMarcus Aldridge, corner elbow jumper. Like he can hit that. I just love Mark Williams games. I've been waiting for him to be healthy, and now I get to talk about him and show the world what he's done. Because in his last game, the first one without Nick Richards on the Hornets, 23 points, 14 boards. I lied to you. That's what his other numbers. The last game was 36 minutes, 31 points. He went 12 for 14 from the field. He had 12 rebound chances, pulled down 13 of them for Charlotte in that last game for Mark Williams. So I think we know what he's capable of. I think he'll continue to be capable of that stuff. And I think he's going to take Vooch to the woodshed, essentially around the boards, mostly is what I'm thinking about. In this last game with the Jazz, Walker Kessler was out there for 32 minutes. Walker Kessler is a much better defensive presence down low than Nikola Vucevic. I can't think about 2 guys further from each other in terms of what their skills are on defense. And Mark Williams made him look like Chris Dudley, to just throw that reference out there from when the Knicks were getting beat up by the Heat in the 90s. Shaq was tossing around guys like Chris Dudley. That's what he essentially made Kessler look like. And I'm not really trusting Vooch down low right now. This Bulls team gives up the most points next to the basket for a reason. They are giving up a ton of offensive rebounds as well. Not a good defensive rebounding team, especially when you are able to keep Vooch sort of down low and guarding the guy who's going to be shooting. Then you'll find him not really available for the rebounds. I think that's going to continue to be the case for him. I mean, even in the games with Nick Richards, when he's on the floor and Nick is off, he's at 23 points and 14 rebounds per 36. I don't think he's going to play 36 all the time, but I think he's going to be playing 30 plus every day, like every game now. There's no reason to think that he's going to go back down to this splitting time with Nick Richards or Musa Diabate, who's also questionable tonight. Grant Williams not even around. Salon is tall and young, not a down low presence of any kind. Like, no one's going to be messing with him in his paint. It's going to be all above the break crap from LaMelo. And if Brandon Miller even plays, by the way, he's questionable. More shot attempts for Mark Williams if he's not around. But it's going to be that. It's just either we're scoring from the corner or we're scoring from above the break, or Mark Williams is scoring. That's kind of how I see the Hornets offense today. And I think he'll be getting plenty of offensive boards. I think we're going to get back up to 20 rebound chances. And we still have this rebound number at like 10 and a half, right? Like, I'm great with all this. I think this is going to end closer to 28 and a half PR. So I would get this while you can get it.
Yeah, Mark Williams season, man. Definitely a big shift here with Nick Richards gone. It might take a couple games for the books to really adjust, but this seems pretty low given what he just did. I did not realize he had a bag like that. Now he's getting the full workload. Yeah, he's got post moves for sure.
Yep.
So I got same prop, different guy, and that is J-Dub over 26.5 points and rebounds for the Thunder. He's going to have to board up more in this matchup for sure, and with Isaiah Hartenstein out for the next week at least. 19-6 with some foul trouble last night against the Cavs for J-Dub, but was kind of employed as a big man in that small lineup as the Thunder just kind of ran away with it. So if that's the situation, like, his rebounding opportunities are going to be up a lot more with the Mavs missing Lively tonight. They might be willing to match that and go with PJ at the 5, right? And then it's like, it's a normal situation in terms of, it's a normal matchup for him in terms of like, okay, I can play small ball 5 against this dude, and J-Dub and Dort can board up. But you look at it, last 5 without iHeart, when Chet went down and iHeart wasn't in yet, 24 games, 7 rebounds on 28% usage, now averaging 1.5 more boards per game without him. He scores 2 more points per game without Chet this year on 2% higher usage. That makes sense. Only 18-7 and really poor shooting. The first matchup versus Dallas with Hartenstein. Then he got them without Hartenstein. Went for 27, 5, and 5 against Dallas in a higher scoring game. Dallas really struggling guarding the mid-range, guarding rim frequency in the last 10, allows the most threes to power forwards on the season, and second most points to power forwards in the last 15. So, with all the attention SGA should get here, I still like him to score, but I think Dallas is going to have to double down on him, and then J-Dub are going to have to make him pay.
Yep. Yeah, I tried this last night with J-Dub. I got hooked because I got him too late on the PRA. It was at about 30 and a half. He ended with 29 or 30 because the game was over in the first quarter. Very big disappointment from the Cavs. But yeah, this is just more. No one had to play the fourth, right? So we saw J-Dub take over at the end of the third to be like, let's make sure that we're up by 30 going into the fourth so we can keep these guys on the bench. 40 minutes from SGA, and like, I don't even know, did he play 30 minutes? Like, what an absurd game. And now we're coming into one. It's basically, there's nothing to worry about against Dallas right now for this Thunder team, who also, by the way, is filthy on the back-to-back as well and should have plenty of success tonight. But let me go to one of my new favorite basketball players in the NBA to close the show for the week here, Nate, and take Isaiah Collier. If you don't know, you better learn. Former Bronny James teammate, I believe, on USC. Now showing what it's like to be in the NBA. I don't know what his assist or rebounds and assist prop is going to be at, because we've got Colin Sexton available in this. Keep in mind, when you see an injury report, it says available. It doesn't mean the guy's playing. It means he's available. It doesn't even mean he's going to get that many minutes. So I don't know what they're going to do right now with this backcourt where you've got George, Collier, and Sexton available, because Collier's been getting buckets, minutes, assists, boards. He's been getting everything with at least one of Sexton or Keontae George missing. We know Keontae George is back, and we know that Will Hardy had no problem starting Collier alongside Keontae George in the last game. And we also know that despite how well Colin Sexton played, Isaiah Collier was the point guard of that team with with Keontae George on the floor. And this is what I've been saying now for the last 5 to 10 games. Isaiah Collier is better at basketball than Keontae George. Unfortunately, we're going to see like a Jalen Warren, Najee Harris thing where you're like, but isn't the backup better than the starter? Why aren't we starting the backup? Oh, we spent the draft pick on the starter. Got it. Okay, so management is pissed at us for playing the backup, which is annoying as hell, but it is what it is. So I don't know if he's going to start. I don't care though. If you can get his assists at like 4.5, if you get his boards have been at like 3.5, and he's been cruising past his rebound prop. So if you still get a 3.5 prop, I think he's still good for 25 to 30 minutes in this game. And he hasn't even needed 30 to get these dimes, as he's averaging 4.5 assists in the first half of the last 8 games alone. And in those 8 games as well, doing pretty well there with the dimes, up to 8 per game on the boards as well, up to about 6 per game in those last 8 games. Like, he's just everywhere, man. He's leading the team in the last 10 in touches, passes made by a lot, passes received, assists, potential assists, assist points created, assist percentage, like everything that has to do with being a pass first point guard, who, by the way, is also a very athletic, stocky dude who gets boards as well with those rebound chances, up to about 8 or 9 rebound chances per game as well as a point guard. I can't say enough about this dude. He can score. So when it's his team in the near future, hopefully, we're going to take his points as well, because he's definitely tough going to the rim with those drives. But passing and rebounding, and if you give him 25 minutes, I like him for anywhere from 4.5 assists to 9.5 rebounds and assists. However you want to play this, I'm going to be taking some ancillary stats for him.
Yeah, it might be a night to take the points as well, because these are the 2 worst paint point defenses in the league. Pelicans, especially with Zion in there, it seems like really it's just a parade to the rim. We expect Zion to be back. I mean, the guys who are out for the Jazz, but beyond, like, Sexton might play, but Clarkson, Collins, Markkanen, Kessler, Micah Potter even are ruled out. So yeah, you love the opportunity here. We'll see what the prop comes out at, but I think you can take something here with Collier.
And I'll just tell you also, it was more of a last minute bet, so I couldn't get it on the show because we didn't have Bryce Sensabaugh props. But if you remember the last show that they played 2 nights ago, I ended the show by being like, Sensabaugh season, because it's still Sensabaugh season. This man is a purebred scorer, like just made to score. So I'll be going right back to Sensabaugh on this one as well, against this weak interior defense, like you said. But that's all the time we have for you in player props. Make sure you check out the best bets with some looks on the sides and totals for tonight's games as well. And until we see you next, happy betting.